Hello guys and welcome to another video, and here's a video I really don't want to make. It's my predictions for 2023. And on this channel we talk about investing, we talk about entrepreneurship, and today I'm going to be focusing on the stock market and property investing. And for anyone who's new, my name's Parham. I've got about £3.5 million of property. Well, it's dipped a bit recently, so it's 3.478 million, and I've got about 1.7 million pounds worth of debt on that. And in terms of index funds, I've got six figures in index funds. So what happens in the market and what happens to property really does affect me significantly. And on this channel, we like to be as transparent as possible. I want to bring you as much information as I can. And if you could do me the one favor of giving me a big like, it really helps me out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already subscribed, why not consider subscribing? We have our subscriber dividend portfolio around the 10th of every single month. We give that money out to you guys so that you can take part in passive income. And every month I put another £2,000 into there and it builds up over time. It means together we can see how passive income works, and I can reward my subscribers by giving the dividends out to them as they come in. Guys, let's get into my predictions, and I hate doing videos like this because ultimately I want to preface it with anybody who tells you that they know what's going to happen in the future. There's no way. I don't know for certain what's going to be happening. Of course I don't. I can take some generalized opinions, some observations about the economy, put it all together and tell you what I think is going to happen. There are many people betting on it, trying to time the market, all those sort of things, and nobody really knows what the future holds. Who would have predicted a pandemic? Who would have predicted interest rates rising at this rate? Of course, somebody out there managed to predict both, but they were wrong 1,000 times before. We have to remember a broken clock is still right twice a day, but ultimately speaking, nobody really with any certainty knows what's going to be happening in the future. So with that preface done and with all that out of the way, let's get into what I think is going to happen this year. Now, my first prediction is interest rates will continue to rise in Q1 this year, and they will peak in Q1. Now, why are interest rates raising? It's to combat inflation. And when we look at inflation, I think the really interesting thing is inflation really picked up significantly here in the UK towards the middle and end of 2022. And when we're comparing inflation, it's a year-on-year comparison. So my gut instinct is that the dip in inflation won't really be starting to coming through until the end of Q1. Now, there's lots of reasons why I think inflation will come down quickly. Oil price, have a look, Google it, it's down massively. Gas price, it's down half since the invasion of Ukraine started, and it started to fall even further in the last couple of days. Lots and lots and lots of tailwinds. Lumber, have a look at wood price. That's down from like 14,000 per, I don't know what they do it by, metric ton or something, to about $400. Most commodities like that are coming down in price, and that will feed through and have a deflationary effect on the economy. Now, taking that with the fact that interest rates have gone up, wages are being subdued, lots of things I think are going to mean that interest rates will peak in Q1. And I believe that they'll start to fall in Q3. And the reason I think they'll start to fall is I actually think capitalism has taken care of most of inflation. I think all of those things I listed a minute ago, the lumber, the oil, all these sort of things have already fed into reducing inflation. But there's this lag factor. And I think what we're going to find is central banks are going to discover in Q2 that they've done maybe a little bit too much. And I expect interest rates to start to fall into Q3 at the end of this year. Now, again, this is just my prediction, that's the reasoning behind my thought process on that. Now, conversely, if I then look at house prices, I think they'll have a correlation to interest rates. They always have. So, house prices will continue to fall to Q3 and then slowly rise. And I think they'll probably continue to fall, but probably at a slower rate. We had 2.5% come off, 1.5%, both in a month. I think they'll probably fall a little bit slower than that, maybe 0.5%, 0.25%, those sort of numbers per month, all the way through to about Q3. I think there was this initial panic, but ultimately markets tend to settle down a little bit once the initial panic's done. So I think a slower cut, and then they will slowly start to rise from Q3 onwards as interest rates start to fall. The market might get carried away and move a bit quicker, It might see the first cut in interest rates and people go, well, this is the end, let's start moving. Stock market, they tend to be a leading indicator. I mean, today, I think it's the 9th of January. Stock market, certainly in the FTSE, is close to an all-time high. S&P 500 is still down about 20%, but I think there's going to be big volatility this year. But I also believe that both the FTSE and the S&P 500 will reach an all-time high by the end of 2023. Now, I know that's a big prediction, but I just believe so vehemently that so much has been done to combat inflation. And there is this lag factor from the fact that lumber, oil, all these commodities are coming down in price significantly anyway. All of that's going to feed through. Capitalism will take care of the rest. And I think we've probably done too much on interest rates. I think there was too much cheap money out there. To raise interest rates this quickly is going to have a very negative effect on the economy. And that's why we go into stage 4. Most countries will experience a recession. And a recession is defined by 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. So I think when I say most countries, I mean most G7 countries, big economy countries. I believe they're going to experience a recession in 2023 if they haven't already. And I think, again, that will be a precursor to central banks having to make the monetary policy much more accommodative. Is that right? Accommodative. We got there at the end. So what are my overall predictions? You know, put some numbers on it. So I think by the end of 2023, the average UK house price will be 275,000, and I think the FTSE 100 will be sitting at 8,000 points. So today I think it's 7,700. I think it will probably come down a little bit as Q1, Q2 unwind, and then as we go into more optimism, as central banks look at recessions and all those sort of things coming up, I think it will bounce quickly. 8,000 is where I expect the FTSE. If you looked at the S&P 500, I'd expect that again to reach an all-time high by the end of 2023. Now, this is just my predictions. I'm going to say that once again. I don't know what's going to be going on. Ultimately, this is just from anecdotal data, from a bit of information and a bit of knowledge that I have about what happens when a recession takes hold and how central banks combat a recession and stimulate growth. Generally, they cut interest rates to make sure that people go out and spend. And I just think, looking at all the data, inflation, when you start comparing year on year towards the middle of this year, it's going to look very, very low. So the last thing I want to talk about on this is what I'm going to do with my predictions. Well, here's the truth. I'm going to change nothing. I dollar cost average when it comes to investing in the stock market, and I invest in index funds. That's going to continue. My plans for buying property this year are going to continue. I'm going to be buying a couple of houses, but I'm going to look for houses that are between 100 and 200,000, and I'm going to aim for a 10 to 20% discount. If I can get 20, that's incredible, but 10 to 20 is going to be my number, and I'm going to negotiate hard with sellers that are nervous about everything that's going on. So nothing in my plan is going to change in terms of where we are today. The biggest opportunity I have is in the property market, where I know that I can manifest a little bit of extra margin, a little bit of extra money. Let me know in the comments what you're going to do, what your plans for this year are, what your predictions are. I'm massively interested. I'll reply to every single comment on this video. And guys, let's have a great 2023. It's going to be an amazing year, lots of opportunity out there. Obviously, it's a scary time, but guys, I know we can get through it, and I know it can be an amazing year. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Good?
Why aren't you saying cheers guys anymore?
All right, let's just say cheers, guys. Cheers, guys. See you on the next video.